Hello everybody, welcome to the vlog. I just finished watching Star Wars Episode 8 for the second time, and I now appreciate the movie even more. Because I'm not the best at picking up on things, especially when it comes to movies. There's a lot of important details, or not details, but details. A lot of, maybe not too important, but just little details that are meaningful that I don't pick up on. And the second time around, everything makes so much more sense. And just re-seeing, I feel like watching it while already knowing the ending gave me a better understanding of a lot of things that happened. A lot of the stuff, when you watch the first time, a whole bunch of stuff happens, and then the ending happens, and they tie together, but you don't make the connection. But now that I can watch the thing, and I say, oh, I see how this directly connects to, stuff later on, or the ending, I think it makes a lot more sense. So, spoilers, there's going to be spoilers starting in the next 10 seconds. I'm going to spoil this movie for you. So if you have not seen the movie and you do not want this movie spoiled for you, go away. Luke dies. So I really, really like this movie. I want to watch episode 4 and 5 again, and I guess 6 too, but mainly 5 and 4, I don't know. But yeah, maybe it's 5 that I want. Anyways, I really, really like, and I need to see, The Force Awakens again. There are just completely reactions, one end of the spectrum to the other. I went and saw it tonight with a group of people from church. Just complete variety, just every end of the spectrum, people rating this movie. Some people really don't like it. Some people like me really love it. And unfortunately, everyone else is wrong. I'm the only one that's right here. But, people can have an opinion even if it's wrong. So, let's see. Just the ending. Watching the ending again, it makes me feel so good inside. There's something about it. I already knew how it was going to end, right? But watching that ending scene again, where, the entire movie, bad stuff is happening, and the rebels are being completely annihilated. And then finally, the moment when Luke just absolutely roasts Kylo Ren from, this scene, which was just hilarious. From this, and then to when Kylo Ren is, so pissed that Luke just it wasn't even real. Oh, that makes me feel so good, because I know we won. And then they cut scenes to the guys running away, and they get on the Millennium Falcon and fly away, and they enter hyperspace, and they just escape the First Order. And it's just the most exciting thing ever, right? And they escape, and the Star Wars music is playing, the classic trilogy episode 4 music. It's the most triumphant. And I know in Force Awakens they did this, and I think episodes 1, 2, and 3 too, but primarily with Force Awakens they used the Star Wars-y music, but they kind of changed it, which is stupid. And this time they just used the classic, the exact same music as, for battle scenes they change it, but the beginning and the very ending when they're going away, it's the exact same music that they used in the previous, the original trilogy. And it's just so good. The warmest feeling inside, because, the song ties to my childhood watching Star Wars a ton, and just, the triumphant trumpet sounds as they're entering hyperspace, and, they just won the craziest war ever. They escaped at against all odds. Just take a second to think about how these nobodies on this little, they had 3 or 4 ships for most of the movie. These 3 or 4 ships that they're all piled on managed to escape the First Order. Just this empire, this fleet of huge ships. It's just ridiculous. It's crazy to think, sometimes you wonder, how are the rebels on these little crew, 400 rebels, outsmarting the millions of people that are employed. The First Order just must employ millions of people. How are they not outsmarting them? How can these 400 people legitimately escape over and over and over? It's just ridiculous. And it's actually kind of really sad. That with all the First Order has invested, that they're just defeated by these little guys. Oh my gosh, it's such a good movie though. The ending is so I felt just the feeling on my heart. Luke dies. It's so good, and that they escape because what's her name, lifts the rocks up and they escape, and that feels so good, and then they just fly away. I had the best feeling in my heart. I was like, I could have, if I wasn't in a movie theater, I could have just screamed like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing ever, because that ending is so good. Anyways, I really, and one of my complaints from the first time around was Lucas portrayed to be kind of ignorant, arrogant, in the beginning, he's just kind of and then someone said he redeems himself. I'm like, yeah, but still. But after watching it a second time, I'm realizing that's not very long of it. Yes, I still do think it was a bad decision, but I mean, I'm not a story writer, right? I have no right to be judging people with careers who are far more talented at making stories than me. But, I still don't agree with the decision that Luke is just kind of ignorant and arrogant, but it's really not too long before Luke finally starts doing the right things. And, in the end just makes it all perfect. Like, when he goes out and, oh my gosh. I'm hoping someone pirated parts of the movie on YouTube already, because what I really want to do is go back and watch the scene where they blow through it's called like a dreadnought or something. I'm gonna call it a dreadnought. I think that's what it is. Just when they enter hyperspace, that scene's getting so tense, and the movie, things that are happening subconsciously we don't process, everything's getting really loud, right? The sounds of the engines and just the music and everything's getting it's getting low, the bass is up, like, because you're listening, the engines all fire up, and you see the ship turning around, the engines are, like, going to heck, and you're like, how does it even enter hyperspace? The engines already look like they're going full power, but, everything just, a ton of bass going on, and then just completely quiet. For at least, 10 seconds, that's just the most beautiful scene ever, and especially this time, already seeing it coming, just, looking around and, as soon as it gets quiet, hearing people just kind of, chuckle or go, it is, oh, my gosh, greatest thing. Hopefully someone pirated that. By the way, never break the law, kids. I don't encourage you to do any illegal stuff. Anyways, though, wow, that's super, super, super cool movie. There's so much more detail that people can go into this, and I've seen people, Bryce Makes Films has made 2 films already about it. One about how they use color, which is something I would have never thought of, but super just, everything about this movie I really love. Little touches I love, Snoke's room, those guards looked really, really good, just the dopest guards, and the red background, or the red whatever around him, was so cool. I love that, the Snoke room. That was beautiful. The elevator looked really cool, too. The casino place was really creative. What else did they do? The island they were on was great. I love, what I noticed, actually the first time I watched this, they have, every single time they go to the island, they have a solid length establishing shot of the island from afar, whether it's the silhouette of it in the sunset or an actual view of the island while the sun's, directly above and it's full, focused. So many establishing shots of that island. But anyways, if you can't tell, I really, really like that movie. The only thing, I don't have anything to complain about actually watching it. One logical thing is, like I said earlier, the First Order is employing millions upon millions of people to think and do stuff, and how did none of them ever think to build a ship that goes into hyperspace? How stupid, I mean, the rebels, right, they have 3 or 4 ships. They take one of their ships, they enter hyperspace, and it just completely annihilates this dreadnought or whatever it's called. Why is the First Order not done this? Not with one of their ships, but how hard is it to make a ship that's that size, maybe filled with a whole bunch of steel, right? No actual stuff. And then you just program it to go into hyperspace. Just put some engines on the back, goes into hyperspace through a rebel ship. I mean, wouldn't that be an easy solution to all this? But no, hold up. We're gonna shoot them, and I don't understand how, with all the effort and apparently, all the millions of dollars that they're spending on making all this weaponry, an X-Wing can get too close to the ship where they can't attack it, and then the rebel ship can get so too far away that the ship, like, dude, the rebels are like, oh my gosh, these things, millions and millions of people are on our tail about to kill us. What do? Oh, we'll just get further away from the ships. Like, how have you guys not thought of this? Like, really, First Order, have you not thought of, like, what, the ship, this puny little ship, just gets a little bit further away from you, all of a sudden you can't do anything? How lame is that? How absolutely lame is that they could outsmart you that badly? I think that is so sad. That's ridiculous. And why can't, the ships have huge engines. If they can go the speed of light, why can't they just catch up on the rebel ship, maybe? If it's already low on fuel, I would sure hope they can outrun it, because they seem to have a lot of money. So many things about, I don't know, so many things about how the rebels are so small, yet, in the first trilogy, for a lot of the time, the rebels were hiding, right? They didn't know where the rebels were, and, like, yeah, it's a little bit sad, but also the galaxy is huge, so I can understand how, like, yeah, our enemies are small, but we don't know where they are, so we can't attack them. Like, that made sense. Like, okay, yeah, small army, hidden inside a mountain, anywhere in the galaxy. That's kind of hard to find, and, I can't blame you for not being able to get them. You're building up an army to attack them when they come. But how is it that now you have the entire movie, they're basically in this scenario where the entire First Order, maybe it's not all of it, but a lot of it, like a dreadnought and a Snoke ship and a whole bunch of these little, if you will, what I think they're called Star Destroyers, right? Little, I say in quotes. This movie did a bad job at showing the scale of things, but there is one shot of the rebel ship when they're about to blow up the bridge, and you see just how small that little crack is where the bridge is, and the bridge is actually huge. It gives you a scale for how large and how enormous this ship actually is, and then you see that ship compared to a Star Destroyer. Now, Star Destroyer just must be enormous, and then the Star Destroyer compared to Snoke's ship, like, these are really big things we're talking about here. All these guys on the tail of these 3 or 4 little rebel ships. How sad is it that they can't take them down? I think that's a big logic flaw that's, I don't know. It's kind of doomed to happen with the way the movie goes. But just still, that's a pretty big logic flaw, that they've all this and they can't take down these few ships. You would think they would have thought around that. You really would. Anyways, overall, I don't really care about that logic stuff. The movie, watching it, was really good. I did have someone say the first third of the movie was just horribly boring and just horrible. In which, I wasn't thrilled by the beginning. I wouldn't dislike it. I had no complaints about it. But I could see why, yeah, you probably wouldn't like that part as much. It was a little bit, but I don't know. I really enjoyed the movie. So yeah, good talk, man. If you guys have seen this movie, I would love to see your opinions in the comment section down below, because, I'll reply, man. I'm really interested in what you guys think of this movie. I'd love to get a little conversation going down there about it, because I know there are a lot. It got like 93% on Rotten Tomatoes or something, which is unheard of. Like, goodness gracious. But yeah, I'd like to get your opinion, because like the audience rating I think was 53 and Rotten Tomatoes for critics was 93, which is kind of weird, and I don't know. So there are definitely a ton of mixed opinions on it. I overheard someone say it wasn't Star Warsy enough. It didn't have enough like of a Star Warsy feel. And I disagree with that, although I can kind of see not really, but my rebuttal, I think Episode 7 was infinitely more Star Wars-less. Like, when I watched The Force Awakens, I was not feeling the Star Wars vibes. I was feeling like, hey, this is a good movie, but it doesn't really feel like Star Wars. And, I probably watched The Force Awakens right after I'd watched, original trilogy, so there's going to be a lot of differences, but this one, to me, felt a lot more Star Wars-y. Anyways, we're going on time, so I'm going to See you guys later. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you did like it, if you did not, dislike it. Don't forget to share your opinion in the comment section down below. I know some of you guys like Star Wars. Please share your opinion down below. I'd love to get a conversation started about what you thought about the Star Wars movie. I will see you next time, guys. Bye, bye, bye.